Happy Monday, happy Pride Month. My name is Molly, and I'm the events director at Books for Magic, which, if you don't know, is a wonderful little indie bookstore just west of here, I believe. Tonight we are so excited to celebrate the launch of Moby, Dyke with Krista, Burton, and Amy Rose Spiegel. So before we get into all of that, I just have a few logistics to point out for how tonight's event is going to go. First off, of course, I want to give a huge thank you to Gingers for letting us use their space for tonight's event. We will be doing a hand-raised audience Q&A towards the end of tonight's discussion, so please start thinking of questions to ask and hold on to them. After the talk, Krista will be around to sign and personalize your books. I think we'll probably just be doing it kind of casually, so find Krista wherever she may be hanging out and ask nicely and hang out. And then lastly, if you're joining us virtually on the YouTube live stream, we would love to encourage you to buy a copy of Moby Dyke online using the link in the live stream description. All right, let's get into this. Lesbian bars have always been cherished by their customers, offering not only good drinks and always the best music, but community, solidarity, and shelter from social alienation and persecution. In Moby Dyke, Krista embarks on a cross-country expedition to examine the state of today's few remaining lesbian bars, full of hilarious and heartfelt conversations and observations. Krista Burton is the creator of the popular blog Effing Dykes and was a frequent contributor to the online magazine Rookie. Her writing has also appeared in the New York Times, The Guardian, Elle, and Vice. She lives in Minnesota. And as I mentioned earlier, Amy Rose Spiegel joins Krista in conversation tonight. Amy Rose is the author of the books Action, a book about sex, and No One Does It Like You. Her work has appeared in Rookie, Vice, the New York Times, and other publications. She lives in a storefront here in Brooklyn. All right, that's all from me. Without any further delay, please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Amy Rose and Krista. Oh, great. Okay. Amazing.
Well, Krista, congratulations. Some people are thrilled with this book. I'd love to hear a little bit about how it came to be. If you want to tell us the origin story.
What's your name, Rose? Hi, everybody. This book kind of, okay, so right around 2015, the Lexington Club in San Francisco closed, and I felt like someone had punched me. I spent the next couple of years just bitching. Just like because I kept noticing that all these spaces were closing, and I was just getting more and more upset. I kept seeing social media announcements about like so-and-so bar is closing, and I'd just be like, this is too depressing. And I started to feel like all these spaces that were so important to me and where I grew up as a queer young person were vanishing. And I started to get worried that like the youth wouldn't have that. And in 2017, I turned bitching into a New York Times article called I Want My Lesbian Bars Back. And then my agent and I kicked around some ideas about like, what if I wrote a book about going to all the lesbian bars in the United States and writing a book about it. And then I didn't. We thought about doing something else instead, and we pitched different books, and those didn't go anywhere. And then in maybe 2020, after a couple years of a lot of like media attention surrounding the bars closing, you saw all the articles that were like, there's only 22 lesbian bars, there's only 20 left. And so there were so many of those, and they kept getting, there were more and more of them. And then someone that I had worked with at Simon & Schuster contacted me, my agent, and said, hey, what about a book where Krista goes to all the lesbian bars? And writes about what she found, and I was like, is that right? That's how that happened.
No, and I think a lot of us are feeling the same way. I mean, the constant barrage of articles that were like, hey, your favorite place, no matter where it is a cafe. Yeah. Say something about it, which is incredible. And I want to know like what you were hoping to find along the way. What questions did you have? What expectations did you have?
Yeah, I was hoping to figure out, first of all, why this was happening. Like, why were these bars closing? I felt like there had to be a particular answer that we just hadn't figured out yet as a community. And I was also really hoping to find bars that were truly thriving, that were in no danger of closing, that had really solid communities and were the most fun. And what was the other part of your question?
What expectations did you have?
Oh, I didn't have any. I thought I would be really nervous to talk to strangers, which is absolutely true. But I'm not nervous anymore. That this whole book tour really cured me. So if you want to talk, I'm ready. And I don't think I had any expectations. I had been to a bunch of lesbian bars because I enjoy fun, and so I knew kind of what I was getting into, but didn't go in with any like preconceived ideas of what I would find.
Yeah, how did it initially feel to be going back to lesbian bars after the sort of cloistered feeling of the pandemic?
Oh, it was fucking weird.
Yeah,
It was so
what was
weird.
about it?
Because I was doing this during like the height of not the height, but like just after the vaccine hit is when I was doing these trips. And so we were doing like different masking rules in different states and different cities and different vaccine requirements, and I hadn't been outside basically in 2 years, and it was a lot to be in places where like it felt as if the pandemic had almost never happened. In smaller cities, it was really strange and very fun.
Yeah, and on the way back in.
Yeah.
Just to be around gays across the country.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You mentioned the Lexington. I wonder if you might want to read a little bit about the first time that you went there.
Oh,
Yeah?
sure, yeah.
Cool. Great, and then we can talk about that.
I'm gonna put this on someone else.
Put it on me.
No!
Here, so I have it marked. I love this bar, the Lexington. If you don't know it, it is now unfortunately shuttered, but it's in San Francisco. I've done both things there. It was like a total like home base for me.
Yes. Okay. 24. Okay. Sure. Okay. The Lexington Club was the first real lesbian bar I had ever set foot in. My first girlfriend, who I'd met while at college in Minneapolis, had moved to San Francisco for her job. I was 21, newly out, completely in love with her, and selling my eggs to pay for my tuition in life. Flush with cash from my own ovaries, I would visit her in San Francisco regularly, sometimes twice a month. We would go to the Lexington Club. The first time I walked in there, I couldn't believe it. I had been to gay bars before in Minneapolis, but this was different. A whole bar full of people like us, a whole bar full of people who probably also for sure liked women. On Friday and Saturday nights, the Lexington Club was always mobbed. There would be a large crowd of queers standing outside, smoking, making out against the walls in the dark, fishing their IDs out of their back pockets, fighting under the streetlight, either fully yelling or in that tense, whispery way that dykes in relationships fight when they're out with their friends. And one of them has just done something that needs to be talked about. You know, your basic talking, laughing, loving, breathing, fighting. Inside the Lex, there wouldn't be space to move. The crush surrounding the bar was hopeless, 3 layers of people thick before you could come anywhere near the bartenders, who were unfairly cute and tattooed and would take your drink order with the indifferent expressions of the chronically hot and hit on.
Thank you so much. Okay, I see. All right. So, Krista, I want to know, what drama did you observe at the Lexington over the years?
I saw so many fights. I saw my first. Do you ever have that feeling where you're at a bar and you've just missed a really good bar fight and you're like pissed because you were in the bathroom? This happens to me all the time. And everyone's like, you missed it. And one time though, at the Lexington Club, I saw my first real fight, and I'm not yay violence, but I had never been there in the moment while it was happening, and 2 people started going at it, and by the end of it got broken up quickly by security, but there was hair all over the floor. So I saw that.
That was my Sorry. Crazy fight. Okay, so I want want to talk to you a little bit about some other things that are just truisms in terms of lesbian bars. And one of these is something that you observed when you walked on and went to Burton and you talked about gay time.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, can you introduce gay time a little bit and read the rules?
Yeah, I absolutely can. Gay time is, I'm sure you all know, gay time is different than regular time. It's fluid, flexible. It's like, it's incredibly late is what it is. And so, yeah, I was kind of spelling it out in the book in case people weren't familiar.
Yeah, let's go for it. All right, hold on. We're going to do a little more.
I'm sorry about the drink.
Okay, please. Here, we're going to do that. That's over here. All right. It's called ballet.
No, oh my God. Okay. So I had just shown up to a drag show that I had been very excited to go to, and it had been advertised for 10, and I got there, it was almost 10:30, and it was empty. And I was like, come on, why can't I learn? I know this, I know. Like, and it's graduates too, like, they're not gonna be on time, and I was just kicking myself because I'd fallen for it again. Okay, so, if you're not familiar with gay time, the rules are as follows. Let's say it's a house party that starts anytime after 8, just come on over. The party actually gets going after 10, so best to go at 11, when everyone will be drunk enough to be loose and fun and still sober enough to remember you came. Okay? I'm busting your butt.
Oh, please, to be busted by the author? Please.
A dinner scheduled for 7 p.m. at someone's house. Dinner is actually at 9:30 because when you arrive at 7:15, there are drinks and gluten-free certified tortilla chips and hummus, all still in their store containers, set out on the kitchen counter. But the host hasn't even started cooking yet. They're slowly cutting a single cucumber into tiny pieces. After listening to 7 other people standing up in the kitchen, gossiping about what Aiden did this time. A dinner scheduled for 7 p.m. at a restaurant. Dinner is at 7, but they won't see this because they won't see incomplete parties. But Eli still isn't here, and everyone's texting them all at once. And Eli has stopped responding, but did respond on my way 22 minutes ago. The Pride Parade starts at 10 a.m. Good luck. This is not happening. The parade will begin moving at 11:30 under a meltingly hot sun. Hungover drag queens struggling valiantly, and it will then be halted for 2 hours by an anti-police protest. Sunburned children with rainbow face paint will begin crying at 10:03 a.m. Any other Pride event that starts at any other time during the day. No one is coming to the daytime Pride event. And the Pink Flag families. And the last one is a pre-arranged 11 a.m. weekend brunch with friends. 56 text messages in the group chat later. Brunch is at 1:30 and at a completely different location. There's a 45-minute wait. Everyone's hungover, and holy shit, someone brought Caitlin.
Okay, fantastic. You went to how many cities, Krista?
20 bars. 16? Math.
And did gay time apply?
Yes.
Okay.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I think you also had observed that the hours of the lesbian bars that you visited were really unreliable. Do you think that that was a function of gay time?
I don't know what it was. Every time I would I mapped the strip. I planned, well, Davin planned. Davin was my husband, and we carefully plotted how the strip was going to go. And every time I would get to the bar and it would be completely different hours. Google wouldn't match, their Instagram wouldn't match, nothing matched, and I would be standing outside a closed bar on the only night I could be there being like, cool, I'll do that. This is fine. So.
Right. You also had a day job, continue after your job while you were doing this.
Yes.
Smooth.
Yeah.
How did that go in terms of your PTO? Like, what happened there? How did you manage this?
It was a lot. I was tired. It was me trying to go on the weekends whenever I possibly could, scraping together any kind of PTO. It accrues 5 hours every paycheck. So. Yeah.
Incredible. An effort. And I want to know too about the flirts that you.
Flirts.
Yeah, I want to know some good flirts. how were you flirted to at with him? Like how, what were the flirts you observed? Did you see any like successful flirts that were sort of nationally good? Coast to coast, how do you flirt in a lesbian bar?
Okay, well, I personally am horrible at that, so you can't ask me.
You saw it, I'm sure. Yeah.
But I saw some really good stuff happening. At Sue Ellen's in Dallas. Oops, it's okay. Go back.
Yeah.
I was standing on a balcony looking down at this bar, this giant bar that Sue Ellen's has. It's a huge bar, and I watched one queer person kind of eyeball a cutie that was like right next to them and like kind of notice them. And then this was someone in their 20s, and they had a beer bottle, and they kind of looked at them, they tapped them on the shoulder so the person would came and looked at them, and then they like very slowly like, licked up the beer bottle, like making full oh fuck. And it worked. Like, they started talking.
They started talking?
Yeah. They just like very flirty.
Hey, I like what you did with that. Incredible. I want to talk about some other like steamy, beautiful encounters that you had, mainly the Femme for Femme Stitch that you observed at the Lipstick Lounge.
Yes.
Do you want to frame that up a little bit, and then maybe you can read to us what happened?
Sure, yeah. I was at the Lipstick Lounge, which is in Nashville, and it was so crowded, like very everyone's touching you kind of thing. And right in front of us, this femme for femme couple just started extremely making out, like very intense. I can tell you what happened.
Oh yeah,
let's
let's absolutely do it. All right, we're gonna do our little shuffle.
Yeah,
We're in it. This is the definition of grace.
Okay.
Okay, I'll take that.
Oh, okay.
You got it.
It was late, and the Lipstick Lounge crowd was sloppy and in a good mood. Davin and I got drinks and inched our way closer to the karaoke stage, where a hot queer with a sharp Grace Jones haircut was yelling the words to Alanis Morissette's Ironic, while gay boys in pastel t-shirts waved their arms and called, "Yes!" with their drinks in the air. In front of us, a blonde femme in a cream-colored cable knit sweater turned to face their blonde, ponytailed femme partner, also in a chunky knit, and they started seriously making out. I mean, hands were up, sweaters. Imagine Martha Stewart in her 20s in a softcore film with Nantucket. That's what it looked like. So many fluffy natural fibers. I couldn't help it. I stared. They looked like they were totally alone in the room, but the bar was so crowded that anyone passing behind them made their ponytails swing. Watching them, I nudged Davin, delighted. I know. His lips hardly moving, carefully looking above their heads. Femme for femme! You're being obvious! Butting his eyes at me. I couldn't help it. Seeing a femme couple out in the wild is such a rare occurrence. You get to make a wish when it happens. I closed my eyes and wished for more femme couples to bless us all. On stage, the opening notes to Radiohead's Creep twanged. I groaned. A soft butch clutched the mic, nodding and tapping their thighs, eyes screwed shut, already overcome with emotion. There's always a soft bush singing Creep and feeling. I focused on the heavy makeup still happening in front of me. Those sweaters. Did they meet at a queer knitting group? Do they incorporate yarn into their shibari practice?
Feeling the scene. My number one crush is a young Monica Stewart. And I always fantasize about wearing sweaters together. Yeah, arms length, like walking dogs down a path while she tells me about like, how to be a good person. She totally But yes, incredible setting. Fabulous. And I think that like weirdly, femmes can knit. Like that's like a known fun thing.
Sometimes I cannot, but others can.
In all, I'm just very happy that you were able to witness this and that Davin was there to ground you in that moment. Tell me a little bit about what you observed in terms of like little national takeaways, like if you went to Oklahoma City, which you did, you did 3 bars, is that right?
Yep, there's 3 bars. Well, one burned down. It's getting rebuilt. Don't worry.
Okay.
But there usually are 3 bars in Oklahoma.
Okay, and so when you're going to a given place, do you observe regionalisms that apply to all bars, or are lesbian bars typically just their own contained world with their own beautiful culture that works pretty strong?
Okay, I will say that there are a shocking amount of bars, lesbian bars that are painted blood red. We talk about it a lot in the book. But I feel like in general, the more rural I got, and also the more southern I got, the friendlier people were, like the more willing they were to talk to a weird stranger with a notebook. Like, everywhere felt really welcoming, but it was in the deep south and in the Midwest where I felt like people were like, hey! Yeah, especially in the deep south. And I felt like maybe that was kind of like, I felt like that was maybe a feeling because in the deep south it felt like these spots were actual true oases. Like, some of these bars didn't have windows, and that was on purpose. It was so people could feel like they're in their own little spot inside the bars, and it was outside that they had to worry about. And when you walked in, I went to one bar, I walked in, and literally every person in the entire bar turned around and said, hi! And it was incredible. And that just does not happen up into the sides, like in the country.
Yeah, and that was in Mobile, Alabama, right? That happened?
Yes, yeah.
What else was that bar like?
Oh, the bar was incredible.
After you got that warm up.
Yeah, I love that bar. It was, that was hers in Mobile, and it just closed.
Oh,
no. Sorry. It was incredible. It was owned by fabulous people. It was black owned. They were lesbians. They were older. I don't want to say seniors, but like they were older and they were doing the most for the community. They had so many people working there, and it was just so. I loved it. It was one of my very favorite bars in the entire trip, and when I heard that they had closed, I was crushed.
Oh, I'm sorry. When was that?
They just closed April.
No. Well, I'm glad that you were able to encapsulate that great vibe in this book. I mean, it was truly the friendliest bar. Yeah. Well, you also talk about how queers as a rule do not approach. Oh, can you walk me through that premise?
I'm sure that I cannot speak for all queer people, but I knew that getting into this book was going to be really hard because I knew that if I didn't talk to strangers for the book, nothing would happen. And I'm shit at that. And I feel like it's hard as a community, often, not saying everyone, for us to approach one another. And most people have like a little cluster of friends with them when they go to the Dyke bar. And it's hard to break into that circle, and sometimes people will give you really awkward stares if you do try to come up with, hey, you want to talk about this place? It can be a little odd, and I was very nervous to try.
How did you find ways through that? I'm sure you had a lot of the same answers from place to place of what you left up as well. I feel listening. How did you break through that and have a real effective conversation that happened so many times in this book?
Yeah, that's a great question. At first, it was just me dealing with like feelings of like weird stranger rejection over and over again because people would give me the weirdest looks when I approached them. Like, hey, do you come here a lot? Like, great. Yeah. So, I just it was kind of exposure therapy at first, just knowing. I would like steel myself and kind of like do some like quiet, deep breathing in the bathroom, and then like, I'm gonna go talk to a person. And just kind of like barrel out there and like look for someone to be friendly and kind of go up to them. And it was, it was exposure therapy. It took many times of people being very weirded out that I had come over to them. And then I started doing things that were like weird on purpose, like how many marshmallows can you fit in your mouth, do you think? And like,
what's your answer?
Oh, I think it's like 7.
I would go 5.
Okay.
I'm impressed. Okay, continue.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So just like trying to think of an offbeat question to throw someone off, and then going for it. But sometimes that also backfired because then they'd be like, oh, she's talking about my mouth.
Yeah. Would people be like, no? Like sometimes.
Usually they would laugh because weirdos come up to you sometimes at bars, and they would laugh and then they'd go with it.
That's the point of bars.
Yeah, I know.
So something that I noticed in the book seemed pretty universal was music.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way that lesbian bars approach music seems to follow a simple rule.
Yes.
And it's just early 2000s family.
Yes.
Can you tell me about when this dawned on you first and maybe you knew about it all that?
I started noticing it around bar 5, which I think was Walker's Pint in Milwaukee. They had a DJ and it was on stage and it was cute and it was great and I was like, oh, Missy Elliott, yes, yes, yes. And I'm like listening to it and I was like, you know, I've heard this song quite a bit. And then by bars like 16, 17, I was like, here we go. Yeah, there's definitely a time period.
And lots of karaoke, right? You saw a karaoke song that above all brought that house down.
Yes, you did. It is my firm opinion, and we can fight about it if you want to, that there is only one perfect karaoke song, and it is Goodbye Girl by the Chicks. Yes.
Why?
There are so many reasons.
Okay. We're doing a service. This is service for the most important people.
Okay,
Yeah.
wait, I think, can I look at the list? I think I have a
Yes,
list.
I think you do too. I don't have the karaoke one in front. I know that we have lots of J-Lo here, but we can find
No,
Girl.
I'm fine, it's in lipstick.
Oh, I know. Yeah, okay. Oh, I have that one marked in some way or another. But is it not true that the Chicks' Goodbye Girl is the best group?
Okay, we did. Okay,
All right,
so-
just do your theory of it. I'll find it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's complicated. It is easy to sing. There's no like weird surprise, like interludes that nobody's expecting. There's no weird high notes that nobody's ready for. It has, you can do jokey dance moves with your friends the entire time, like swing your partner round and round shit. It is, I gotta read it.
The best part about this is that it comes immediately after the Gun for Fun encounter, like no breaks. She's just like, yeah, these friends are like, oh, really going at it anyway. Okay.
I'll get there. I'm good.
Oh, no, it's
Here we go.
How about it, baby?
Oh,
I got it.
okay.
That's a Gun for Fun.
Okay. So I'm just gonna. Okay. After nearly 2 decades of inadvertent attention to the matter, I have arrived at the conclusion that there is only one perfect karaoke song, and it is Goodbye Girl by the Chicks. Straight men and all those under 25. If you need to pause for a moment to look up Goodbye Girl, now is the time to do that. Everyone else, hear me out. All people in bars, especially in queer bars, love Goodbye Girl and know most of the words. And people who choose obscure karaoke songs, do you want to fight? Goodbye Earl is about murder, specifically the murder of an abusive husband. It is effective when sung by anyone of any gender. It can be performed solo or by as many people as can fill the stage. It's upbeat. Why be the person who comes to karaoke with a technically complicated ballad or a personal rendition of Rolling in the Deep? No one likes that. Everyone's here to have fun. Please pick something like I Touch Myself and sit down. Goodbye Earl is easy to sing. No high notes or key changes or unexpected bridges. It taps into queer communal living fantasies. The two best friends in the song buy some land, open a roadside produce stand, and live happily ever after without husbands. You can do jokey cowboy dance moves on stage with your friends the whole time. And there are no awkward 14-bar musical interludes to surprise you with. Perfect. It's perfect.
Okay, now that we've gotten that until one more question is, what shouldn't you ever do at karaoke outside of rolling with you? Or like, is there another genre? Or like, what are the non-bombs?
I do not like a Disney song. Yes.
In what playlist? In what way?
Somebody did the Little Mermaid song.
Ah. Okay.
It's fine. I mean, you can like what you like, but I personally do not enjoy when people do like musical theater numbers, like or seriously rollicking. I know, I'm sorry. Like a serious, like Chicago number. I hope you're ready to drink. That's what I want to see. But yeah, those are my only rules. Also, creep.
Drag-wise, what did you see that worked really well? Like, can you tell me about some memorable drag shows that you saw and what really moved you about the ones that did?
Yeah, I went to this bar called The Back Door in Bloomington, Indiana, which was one of my very favorite bars on the entire trip. It's phenomenal. Listen, I've been gay for 20 years. I've been going to drag shows forever. I'm exhausted. I saw, hands down, the best drag show I've ever seen in my entire life at The Back Door in Bloomington, Indiana. And I was not ready. They had an ATM that only dispensed singles. They singles so they could, and people, it was fucking raining money in the middle of like COVID, and it just like everyone was like masks on, screaming, losing their shit. Every single number was not just good, but you know like when you go to a drag show and there's like 1 or 2 stars and everybody knows who the stars are and like they're swanning around on stage, the costumes are good, and everybody else is like good, but also we know who the filler acts are, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so at this drag show, every single number was a fucking star. I had never seen anything like it. It was almost tangibly smooth, like you could run your hand along how perfect this show was. I'm like sweating thinking about it.
I found Krista's like notes from when she's like drunk and watching the show. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah. No, that's
I love the drunk moments. Okay. Here, I got you.
okay. Oh god, okay, thanks. Okay, also I just want to say that this bar had also the funniest drink names I've ever seen in my fucking life. They had a drink called Citron My Face. And they had one called 2 in the Pink, and then another one called 1 in the Stink, which had Kahlua in it. Incredible. Okay, so it says, I'd already had 2 drinks, and I was pretty excited, and my notes reflect that. Here's what I wrote. Okay, this show, these queens are working so hard, this is nuts. This is like a lot of capital letters. Alright, they just shined the spotlight on me at my little solo table, and a queen named Karaoke just took my tip and threw her leg up on my shoulder to thank me, but missed with her aim, hitting my head so hard with her thigh, like a bell clanging. I told her 14 stars, I've been blessed. Shit, it's the 4th song, and I'm already completely out of money. I've never seen an audience tip like this. Never. It's raining money. Is this just because everyone's so thirsty from gay shit, from being locked up from COVID? I just went to the ATM, which only dispenses singles, and got more out. Aria Amethyst just appeared in a robe printed all over with dollar bills and stripped down into ripped fishnets and a bodysuit dripping with rhinestones, and I think this gay boy near me is going to actually burst into tears about it. He is clapping with both his fists full of money and screaming at his lungs, and Aria swooped over to him and slowly curled her fingers around his forearm while looking lovingly into his eyes and took all his money. And at this point, I was like, I don't want to do it. Miss Thane came back out in a bodycon pink bedazzled dress with a slit up to the ass and is doing Beyonce's Naughty Girl, and holy shit, there is a line at the ATM! I've never seen queers work this hard. They are working the audience and humping the floor and doing splits and sissy walking and grinding on people's faces, and what the fuck? This is Indiana! I wish I was rich so I could tip with $100 bills. Kiara Kardashian just showed up in pasties to Maryland's Never Bitch, and when she came by to take my tip, she leaned over and smelled like some kind of cotton candy dream. This is the only acceptable situation for super sweet perfumes, in my opinion. If they're laid along by the pint by a dancer who is using it to cover the smell of their own sweat, which completely works, and then the warmth of their sweaty skin heats it up and projects the smell to the moon. So what you get is hyper-realistic, fresh cotton candy that's all warm. This is what sugary perfumes are for, not for wearing overwhelming waves of pink sweetness and gassing everyone out in the elevator in the office at 8 a.m. Take notes, corporate America. The MC, Zariah St. Vontrell, just told a white guy sitting with a whole crowd of friends to come and sit on a chair in the middle of the room, and when he tried to refuse, told him calmly to get your white ass into this chair right now. And he did, looking very sheepish. And then she proceeded to ask him his name, and then gave him an absolutely filthy lap dance to Beyonce's Let Me Sit This Ass on You. And watching his face is incredible. He looks delighted and embarrassed and pleased and horny and confused and thrilled. He's all red and shiny, and this is so great.
Honestly, like capturing these snapshots in time, like it's so beautiful. I want to know, was there anything that you either like in cutting stuff from the book or in just not being able to get to everything? What didn't make it? And is there anything was that hard? Like, was that challenging?
Didn't like it. Oh, you know what? When I started writing this book, I was trying to do a blow by blow of literally every restaurant I went to, whether or not it was gay. Everything that I did, it was like the most boring accounting you ever saw in your life. Like, I was like, oh, I had this great salad. And my editor, Sean Manning, was like, so we need to talk about this. Cut all of it, thank you. Like, a really nice way.
It still reads like a perfect travelogue though, because we do get these moments of like, Krista has rented a car, but her license is expired. And I'd love to talk about the people who helped you through this book.
Sure.
yeah, how did you find that people were assisting you during this event?
So many people helped me on this book. Like when I realized I was trying to rent a car and I got stranded at the Atlanta airport with an expired license, and I needed to be in Mobile, Alabama that night. I was basically like shaking and crying because at this point, guys, you'll see it in the book, like I'm out of money. There's no more money. There's no more credit card money. It's gone.
So it went to that drag queen.
So I was like panicking because I didn't have a place to stay in Atlanta. I was stranded. I couldn't rent a car to go to my Airbnb, which was super expensive in Mobile, Alabama, and that was it for me. It was the end of the road. I didn't know anyone in Atlanta, and I started crying in the airport. And so I called a couple of my friends who had once mentioned knowing a person who lived in Atlanta. And within 5 minutes, I was on the phone with their friend, and I gave him a fake name in the book. I can't remember his fake name. Yeah. And he's like, here's what we're going to do. He was just like this business executive. I had no idea how my friends knew him. That's what we're going to do. You're going to take the MARTA train out of the airport, meet me at this particular stop. I'm going to rent a car under your name, under my name, and you're going to drive it on out here. I'm like, isn't that illegal?
I think you have to tell the story.
No, that's what happened.
No, but I think you also have to say like his parting remarks, which shocked me to my core. Truly. Okay. So he is.
I think he would be in.
So
Are
it's
we
before
here?
hers? Yeah. Okay. So we're early on in hers. This is worth it. This is top 3.
Okay, this is going to be her. This is in hers, you're right.
Okay. Yes, I promise you
Hers?
it's worth it. I was cackling.
It's at the beginning.
Yes, because. Okay, yes, here you are. So.
Okay, this is me.
He and 7.
Okay, here we go.
Yes.
All right.
Wonderful.
Right here. Oh, hey, his fake name is Titus. I gave him a fake name because we were doing something illegal. Okay. But my license is expired, I said to him. That's why we're renting it under my name, Titus said patiently. Isn't that illegal? What if I crash it? Don't. Within the hour, I was at the front desk of a rental car franchise in downtown Atlanta, pretending to be the girlfriend of a very handsome, very muscled cis man who was charming the rental car guy into giving us a car without a reservation. And I'm going to skip some. Okay. The rental car employee, a skinny, shy-seeming guy, wanted to please this friendly muscle man. Okay, he said slowly, we do have a Ford Mustang that's just been returned early, but you'll need to wait until it's been cleaned. We don't care about it being clean, do we, honey? We'll take it. The Mustang smelled strongly of weed. With weed sitting shotgun, Titus drove it out of the rental lot, smiling and waving at the employees in the garage. I couldn't stop thanking him. This man, this very busy businessman I'd never met before, had dropped everything to help me, just to be nice, just to help out the friend of a friend. Would I have done that? I wondered if someone had called me, asking me to interrupt my entire day, to help a friend, sure, but to help someone I'd never met? If my schedule was packed? I didn't know. And that knowing made me feel like a worm. You really saved my ass, I kept saying. I don't know what I would have done. Titus grinned, pulling into the parking garage where he'd left his truck. Hey, everything is for the best in this best of all possible worlds, right? What? Candide, he said. Voltaire. Anyway, you're all set. I hope you make it to the bar in time. Can't wait to read the book. Titus got out of the Mustang and climbed into his mega truck that was jacked up, huge tires. Waving, he drove away, windows down, speakers blasting, opera music.
Titus needs recognition.
When I told him that I needed to give him a fake name for the book because it was illegal, he goes, no, put my real name in. And I was like, because it's illegal. I said, I don't do it.
What's his name? I want to know, how did writing this book change you?
Well, there's the aforementioned No Longer Scared of Strangers, which has been fantastic, let me tell you. I feel like I've been incredibly shy my entire life when it comes to talking to people I don't know. With other people, I'm not shy at all, but strangers, no. And now, no problem. It's great. It's like a totally different life, honestly. And then I feel like I just got to see so much beauty in the queer community in such a small, concentrated amount of time that I don't know if I'll ever get over it. It was so wonderful.
Tell me more. So, how does that change the way that you think about lesbian bars in general, or being a part of the queer community?
I mean, we started with me being that these bars are important, and guess what? I still think they're incredibly important. I think they're incredibly needed spaces. I think I got to see, like, where I think the future of these bars is going. I got to visit quite a few, like, bars that weren't specifically lesbian, but were, like, queer bars run by lesbians, or queer bars that are, like, extremely open to absolutely everyone, and I think that's where we're going. And I got to kind of be there as more and more of these bars started opening up, which is phenomenal. Like, it's been fantastic to watch people DMing me. Have you heard about this bar in LA? I'm like, yes. I know, and I'm thrilled. Like, it's been great to see a lot of media attention, a lot of media stuff like bring attention to the phenomenon, and then see queers like do something about it, which that's been beautiful.
Oh yeah. Have you heard from any of the people that you encountered since you visited them at their bars?
The owners or like anybody? I made a couple friends. We made a friend in Richmond, and she's definitely contacted me. And then there is someone I realized way too late was maybe hitting on me, and I didn't know it at the time. And then I got in my car, I was like, stupid, God. And, they haven't reached out, and that's fine.
The book is not out yet.
I'm waiting.
Krista implores this person.
Sherlyn.
You're gonna get
Sherlyn in Seattle.
Somebody's gonna be like, I'm Sherlyn. Okay, I think that is all the time that we have for the talk. Thank you so much. This is fabulous. Everyone's going to love this book. I mean, that's just a snippet of the incredible things that have been. And now we're happy to take your questions if you have them. I don't know. I feel like I have more, so somebody's going to have me.
So what surprised you? What did you learn?
I learned a lot of different reasons I'd never thought of why some of these bars are closing. A lot of them are interlinked, but I heard a couple reasons that it shocked me, of course. Like, one of the reasons that some of the bars are closing is lack of succession planning. Like, let's say you are 45 and are in excellent health, and you own a bar, and then you die, and no one's expecting it, and then whose bar is it? It's no one's bar, and then it closes. And then other things like running a bar is really hard. I've never run a bar, but I heard from owners like what it's like to actually run a bar, and it's super taxing. Like, it's a ton of work, and sometimes bars close just because the owners are so tired. They are ready to sometimes watch Netflix and just be home in their sweatpants ever. So that is something that I learned too. Oh, sorry.
You first, Rachel.
We
We do know each other. I wanted to hear about like your writing process for this too. I'm really curious how you like managed to take such coherent notes, especially while drinking. And was it on your phone? Were you writing it by hand? How did you? I just want to hear about all of your whole process and how Groupon prepared you for.
Rachel and I worked together at Burton. So much to write about that.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah.
Maybe me and you.
I think, yeah. So I have this large stack of really tiny notebooks. They're like this big, and they're all like sitting in a little box in my room. And I do everything freehand. And so what I would do is I would take these little notebooks to the bars with me, because I noticed that people would clam up if I started trying to record them. But somehow writing down whatever you're saying is like less weird for people. I don't know. So that was how it kind of evolved into just me taking like scribbly cursive, like very wild notes, and then I would come home, and the chore I truly dreaded was transcribing those. It was a nightmare. I can't read my own handwriting really, and so like I would like take it, and so I would do it immediately. Like the next day, I came home so that I could remember, like fill in all the details that I had like not had time to put in. And then with the book itself, like like, once I had all the notes transcribed, I would be like, I'm going to start this chapter now, I'm going to do it. And then I absolutely would not. And I thought, well, I'm traveling next week, I might as well get those notes too first before I really sit down and write this book. So I don't know why I thought that this would be different than every other writing project I've ever had. I thought that I was going to be going to the bars and writing up the chapter real neat and then just like putting it to the side and there's a draft done. Absolutely not. I took the notes. I wrote maybe 2 chapters and then I wrote the rest of the book in an absolute fucking blind panic in the last like 2 months before it was due.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Thank you. So it seems like in doing this like incredible like anthropology project, like you also it also anthology. Yeah. It also seems like you saw a lot of America too, like a lot of the country. Were there parts of the country that you felt surprised by seeing them through this lens and this context?
Yes. I had never been to Texas before, and it was it was so strange. I could not believe how friendly strangers were to me all the time. People would just be like, "Good morning, ma'am." I'm like, yeah, I struggled to get used to like being ma'amed all the time, which I found I liked. But let's see. Bloomington, Indiana surprised me because I didn't. This is bad, and I'm sorry. I didn't know it was there. I had never heard. And, I know it's like a really big college town. I've never heard of. I'm horrible at geography though, so I was very shocked to find like a wonderful little city there, like with all these amazing little like shops and restaurants and like gay bar, like. And I feel like I'm rambling from your original question.
Yeah, I feel like that answered it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The book has a lot of really fun moments of physical humor and gags and things. I like the scene, the motorcycle going up the really terrifying. I wondered if you could talk more about, I don't know, humor or specifically like physical humor and how your body, I guess, felt in going into these spaces and like what's the role of grace or clumsiness
Okay.
in these chapters.
Okay. Well, I think we have to start by knowing that I'm super fucking clumsy. Like, not just like you're like, oh, she's tripping, that's funny. I'm in the ER all the time. It's bad. But like, not terrible. I'm fine, everybody. I just fall a lot and make poor choices. And the scene that they're referring to is we rented a scooter in San Francisco, and I tried to take it up. I immediately tried to take it up the biggest teller I had ever seen, and it did not go well. And there's another scene in New York where I'm very, very clumsy, deeply in public, and it's rough. And, how my body felt these spaces. My body always feels very ready to. I always feel like I'm very game to do something, and then my game is to translate into me seriously falling up the stairs, or yeah, I feel like eager, but then maybe over eager is the issue. And then what was the other part of your question?
I think that was it.
Okay.
Did you know going into writing this book that it was going to be of the comedic variety, or did you just go to these places and find that everyone is just hilariously quirky?
I wanted to go into the book like making a lot of jokes because like I love queers, like we're funny as fuck, and like I wanted to talk about it, like I wanted to talk about fashion and think the conversations I was overhearing. And then when I was doing the book, it became really clear that I couldn't just make jokes for like 300 pages, and that I was unable to separate how I saw the bars from my own personal story. And you wouldn't understand like why I give a shit so much about the bars if you didn't know my own backstory. So I kind of injected it into there. And to the other part of your question, no, we say the wildest things. Like, and you'll just scare you, like, I'm writing this down. Yeah, I didn't expect people to be as funny as they are, but people are so funny. So, that part was easy.
And I will say too that like, you know, present of like this being a book launch with Karaoke, I skipped about who did the funny parts, but there are a lot of really moving crying parts in this book too.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, like totally gorgeous. Okay. Let's not forget who else.
We have time for 2 more.
Okay, so.
Okay. So obviously you've traveled across the country, seeing all of these lesbian bars, and they're like galore, and a lot of them are really old or have been there for, you know, decades. And a lot of them have closed down, but there also are like a couple that are opening and popping up across the country. Like, are there any that you're excited to go and like travel to, or like do you foresee yourself like maybe not like maybe a sequel, I don't know, but there's like new ones, like new queer bars, dyke bars, lesbian bars that are like popping up. And who of all these do you see yourself like traveling to the woods?
Yeah. I am desperate to go to the new LA ones. I think there's 2. There's one in Portland that just opened called Doc Marie's that I really want to go to. When I started writing this book, and when I finished writing this book, when I started writing this book, there were 0 lesbian bars in Chicago where I lived for 6 years. Now there are 3 fucking bars. And one of them is 2 blocks to where I used to live 4 years and I'm furious. And it's called Nobody's Darling, and it is fabulous. Yeah, I'm dying to go to absolutely all of them.
Hey, so I know writing a book that's as personal as this is kind of like a long process of self-reflection. And I was curious for you, did you sort of learn anything about yourself that you didn't already know while writing it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I learned not to be like tender, but I feel like I learned that I'm softer than I think I am. Like, I love like when funny shit happens and like when you get to write about all the funny stuff that's happening, but like I really struggle to write the chapters in this book that deal with like my family and my mom and all sorts of stuff. And those chapters were the hardest, and also I feel like they're my best. So I guess vulnerability is all right.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you feel like 20 years from now, 30 years from now, there will still be a lot of like lesbian and queer bars, and you think like the internet and gentrification are going to stop them?
Yeah. Gentrification is a big one. For a while, a lot of the bars are closing. Like landlords, if you don't own the building, they can look at your building like, you know, when you give yours condos. And that's it. And I really do think that 20 years from now, I really hope that most of the bars that are here are still here. I think that we will shift towards like extraordinarily openly inclusive but queer spaces. And I think there will be a lot more, is what I think. Because the baby's coming up, like, they need a place to dance, like. Oh yeah.
Krista, thank you so much. We're also
tonight. Thank you to everyone who asked questions. Thank you to Amy Rose for moderating this conversation. And of course, big thank you to Krista for celebrating this launch for us. So a few quick reminders. For those of you still with us on the YouTube live stream, you can buy a copy of Moby Dyke by clicking the link in the live stream description. For everyone else here tonight, I did forget to mention this earlier, but Krista actually pre-signed all of the books. I know a couple of you got a book when you checked in. If you didn't, we have plenty of additional books available for purchase tonight. So come see me or my coworker Jenny, who checked y'all in, and we can make that happen. We also have a few copies of Amy Rose's book Action, which is, fantastic. Also a paperback, so you can just slide in your bag. Next to your copy of Moby Dyke. Let's see, is there anything else I forgot to say? The books are pre-signed, but if you want them personalized to a specific name, there's your opportunity to go say a quick hello to Krista. Yeah, absolutely. So otherwise, buy some drinks, tip your bartender, say hello, hang out, buy books, and have a wonderful Pride Month, everyone. Thank you all so much.